we want to teach those kids in 4-H where to start versus having them have to go figure it out themselves. To ask, I think anybody would tell you advice or help, and there's plenty of stuff out there on the internet.
We've looked forever to find land and a house to have it all, but it's just so expensive. If you had cows and sheep and goats in a pasture, they're like super good team.
Yeah.
So, and we've noticed even sheep and goats are a great team because they eat different things. It's harder than you could ever imagine it will be, but also more rewarding than you could ever imagine. But you have to just be patient. And I think that's probably that way with any new business.
This is just your winter area. So
Right.
you rent
Yep.
in the summer, right? How does that work?
Yeah, so in the winter we have all our babies here just because it's like hard to keep water from freezing.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And the acre or the pastures that we rent don't have access to water or electricity. So in the summertime we have to figure that out. But in the winter we come here because we have electricity and we have access to water, and then it's easy to like put the babies in a separate birthing pen and we can kind of watch them and keep a heat lamp on them, and it's closer to home and all of those things. So
Plus, we don't live here, so
Yeah.
we actually have cameras so that we can watch from home. Or if they're up on the pasture, no electricity, no cameras.
Gotcha. So the cameras help then with birthing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's nice.
We have saved several, honestly. Like, we've seen situations where we're like, uh-oh, that doesn't look good. We better go check it out. Or someone's in labor and we better go help them. So we've definitely saved it. And for me, peace of mind. Like, because we were coming several times throughout the night to make sure.
Ooh, yeah.
And now we can just wake up, look at it. Oh, nothing's going on. And we just go back to
How
sleep.
far
So-
away are you?
About 4 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's
not
not
far
so
enough. But when it's
You have to
cold
get
out,
dressed.
you gotta get laced up and
Yes,
go out. I
right.
didn't like getting laced up just to go to the barn.
Exactly,
It
right?
was like
Right.
500 feet from my
It's
house.
not a big deal at all, but it's just like one more thing. You're like, oh, and especially with kids, like usually now that they're older, it's easier because they can get themselves ready. But when we started, our youngest was not yet 1.
Yeah.
Let's say she was 1. So when we started, our youngest was 1 and our oldest was 3. And so I had to basically carry both of them, get them all wrapped up in their bundled gear, and then they would scream the entire time. So I would be like bottle feeding a lamb, and my kids are like laying on the floor being babies, and
Yeah.
it was a struggle. And so growing up, I was always around it, and just like they were probably, I like animals better than people most times,
Yeah.
And so we talked about it and wanted our kids to have a similar experience, and we were going to start small, I feel like, and then it kind of blew up.
Yeah, we started with 6 sheep and 4 goats.
Okay.
And then by the end of that year, we had probably 30 total.
Probably.
25,
Yeah.
30, something like that.
So you started because you had small kids, so your kids weren't
Yes.
4-H yet.
No,
They're still not.
So you just
They're still not in 4-H,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
So-
then your oldest would be what, 6?
She's 8, and then the
8.
youngest is 6. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we just wanted them to be around animals.
Okay.
Because, like, for me, it was always like this humbling experience, right? Like, you can work as hard as you can, and we have experienced this many times now. You can try everything and do all the right things, and it still dies.
Yeah.
And so that's just incredibly humbling, right? Because you have their life in your hand and you try your best, but sometimes it doesn't work, and that's just really hard. And I know that's a hard lesson for kids, but it's also a really important one.
Yeah.
So let's just get this out of the way. My mom died 7 years ago,
Okay.
and so my kids don't know her, but they talk about her a lot, and they don't understand, what happened, and like, where is Mimi? And so this has been super helpful for us when an animal dies to say, hey, Mimi's gonna go take care of her now. Like, she's gonna go to heaven and be with Mimi. And so it kind of has helped them understand death way more than I understood it as a kid. Like, I understood it from a farming perspective, but like, I didn't have a whole lot of family death as a young person. But I think it just helps them to kind of cope with that and say, okay, that's what happens. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just part of the process of life.
There's life.
Yeah,
And
and
there's
death.
also
Yeah.
death.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Wow,
yeah.
What a cool experience. So you guys have a lot more animals now.
we do.
And you have an interesting name. So your name is PAQ'd Meats.
Yes.
But it's spelled P-A-U or
P-A-Q.
P-A-Q apostrophe T.
Yes.
So what brought that up?
So
Why?
my brother actually came up with it.
Okay.
And if we ever turn a decent profit, he wants royalty. But he's still waiting to get paid.
Yeah.
So Paige, our
Okay.
youngest daughter's Amelia. Quincy is our oldest daughter, and then David
Is
for
your-
D.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also sell packaged meat instead of just bulk meat.
Okay.
So packed as in packaged
Yeah.
meats. So
Very
it was
cool.
pretty convenient or pretty clever of him to come up with. So.
Yeah, I love it.
Most people don't get it at all, so when we tell them, they're like, oh, that makes much more sense.
Well, I totally took it as a retail product thing.
Okay,
like,
cool.
I thought maybe more on like the processing
Yes,
side of
right.
like packaging.
Right.
So I figured it had something to do with
Right.
that. But the fact that your names are incorporated
Yeah.
in it is so cool.
But yeah, that was actually from a business perspective. So we started as just to have the kids around animals, and that was fun. And then we kind of like really enjoyed it. Like we really liked being around the animals and raising the animals. And I had always been around beef, and David kind of has come and helped Dad. Sometimes Dad and my brother do, work with the cattle, and they were a bit intimidating, I think.
Okay.
And just thinking the two of us doing something on our own, that just seemed intimidating. So we were like, what could we do? And at that time, I think there's a lot of local farms that do like the halves and quarters, but there weren't a lot of people that did like packaged meat.
Yeah.
So you could buy, a pound of ground beef or a package of steaks. And so we thought, that's like kind of a little hole in the market. So could we do packaged meat, both sheep, lamb, and beef? And so we buy, my dad and brother mostly do the quarters and halves. So we buy actually from a family friend, like a local family friend, the beef, and then we sell that also packaged.
Okay.
So it's really kind of filled a hole that I think was needed in the community. And
Where do you sell that at? Like through a farmer's
just-
market? or-
No, we actually
off
do
farm?
all off online. Yeah, word of
Okay.
mouth and Facebook. And it has kind of blown up. Like we're often sold out. Like right now we're sold out completely of ground beef, and I mean we still have some steaks and stuff, but I think it definitely filled a hole. And then we kind of use that as an introduction to lamb. So around
Yeah.
here, lamb is not super popular. Like
Yeah.
I think the East Coast and the West Coast, and then actually we've learned all around the world, lamb and goat are super popular meats, but no one around here has really had it. So it's kind of like, we'll be like, hey, have some of our beef, and then you want to try a pack of, ground lamb or a lamb chop.
So sometimes we just give it out for free.
Yeah.
To say, hey, try it. It's close. It's
Right.
almost. It's very similar, I think, to beef.
Okay.
So, and then also in Columbus is a very diverse community. So there's actually a lot of people looking for fresh lamb, fresh goat,
Yeah.
because most of the lamb, at least, and probably most of the goat comes from New Zealand and Australia. So it's been on a boat frozen for who knows how long.
Right.
Where this has been, we just actually took some up Tuesday or Wednesday this week, and one of the guys is picking it up today.
And where's he
So,
from?
and he's from Ghana or Nigeria. I
Okay.
don't know. Somewhere over in Africa.
Yeah.
And he said it's the best tasting goat he's ever had.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a compliment.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Congratulations.
tell your friends.
So
So
it is cool. David is a mechanical engineer at Cummins.
Okay.
So he does work with a lot of diverse people from lots and lots of different cultures. And so that's been a great, I guess, foot in the
Entry-
door.
Doing,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Very cool. So you started for your kids,
Yeah.
and then you went to meat,
Right.
but you mentioned that the royalty payments aren't really showing up yet. So you did something else to maximize some of your profits.
So with Paige being the loving animal person, we've done petting zoos for, church events, school events, other community things as an introduction to animals. We've taken the animals to the 4-H fair as the petting, little hands on the farm, they call it.
Okay,
So
yep.
kind of a petting zoo area. And then we're like, well, there's nothing in the winter. It's like, well, we've got a bunch of babies in the winter. Why not?
And everybody loves a baby.
Everybody
animal.
Everybody loves
babies,
baby animals,
yeah.
goats and sheep, right?
Yeah.
So we came up with the idea, I don't know who did, probably Paige.
I think it was.
Of cuddle sessions is what we call them. So letting people come for 20 minutes at a time to cuddle an animal, and then we kind of educate them on basically what we're telling you on, how we raise them and how it's different than what maybe you read in the newspaper.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And you were successful with that.
It actually was super popular. Last year was our first year, and we were booked almost solid, like all of the openings. We didn't do like every single day because he works full time,
Right.
but we did as often as we could, and people just loved it. Like I think that animals are super therapeutic. So just from my perspective, if I'm having a really bad day and I'm sad or had a stressful day, and then I come out here and it completely changes. I don't know what it is. I can just be really angry or sad or whatever and come out here and you just see the animals and they're just like genuine and innocent, and they just kind of turn your day around. And so I think you see that when people come and they pet the animals. And in fact, we did it for kids because, like, as a mom, I'm always looking for things to do with my kids, and my kids love animals. So even on vacation, they'll want to pet goats, and I'm like, we have goats
We've got
here.
plenty of them.
But anyway, I think kids love animals, so that's really why we did it. But it turned out that the adults were like, if not the same, much more interested in the babies than the kids were. They would just like run around and chase chickens, while the parents are like cuddling these babies and would not let go. Like, I had an older lady come, and she spent like an hour and a half just sitting holding this goat, and she would just rub its head. And I just could see like she was melting, right? She needed that for whatever was going on in her life, and she just like melted, and it like did my heart good to see that and to know that that was making a difference for her day. But so it's been great. I love it, and it's kind of like an entry for people to agriculture. The thing that about like us not yet making money is we just didn't have anything. Like, I think a lot of people growing up around farms that then take over the farm, like, all the equipment is there, right? The land, the equipment, the infrastructure, all of that is already set up, and maybe you're going to add to it or improve it, but you've got something to start with, and we really had zero to start
So we
with.
started with the red barn,
Yeah.
which we store hay in,
And
and the dog lives in there when he wants to, and that's it. Everything else has all been installed since whatever 2018.
So you really are ground up.
yeah, so like buying a tractor, buying a trailer to move the livestock,
yeah.
like everything.
building a barn, building the pens. We've rearranged this area probably 2 or 3 times, trying to figure out what we wanted, and we came up with this, and it seemed to work. And
So you've got hay storage or
Yes.
straw storage?
Yeah.
straw
both,
there,
yep.
hay on this side.
And then there-
Yes.
Yep.
And then same thing over
and
here.
these
So
are-
you've got 2 other pins.
And then you can
hay on top.
you can see the cameras,
Oh, yep. and
so
then
that
the
we can
cameras
see
are
from
in.
home,
Yep.
and then kind of just an area for him to get out of the weather.
So my dad has been awesome. Like, he helped us build this barn financially,
Okay.
and like obviously letting us have our things here.
Yeah.
And but otherwise, I think once we've now been invested in all of the equipment and all the infrastructure, I think it starts coming closer to like breaking even and maybe making a profit. So it took a while,
Yeah.
but you have to just be patient. And I think that's probably that way with any new business.
Right.
It's frustrating, but you just have to keep
So
trucking.
you didn't necessarily. Here, I'll pull it.
Yeah.
So you didn't necessarily have to take out a loan to
Right.
build these things. You had
Thank
did have
goodness.
some help.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you're still working through the financial
Yes.
aspects
Right.
of
Like
that.
each year we'll buy something really expensive.
Okay.
And you can't buy anything else. Like we got the trailer one year, and then
got the tractor
we
one
got the
year.
tractor one year. So it's like slow investments.
Yeah.
And while I would love to have like thousands of acres and hundreds of sheep, you've just got to take steps at a time. And
We've limited how many sheep we have too. We originally was, I don't know, what did we say? 50 was our cap, and like I said, we have 80. Some of those are still market animals, so really we're in the 55, 60
Okay.
head of adult
Adults.
females.
Okay.
So we've kind of said that's about what we can manage, and
especially with him working full time. So like he does a lot and it's awesome, but like just trying to do the day to day of 60 grown animals and their
like,
babies
2 kids.
and 2 kids. Yeah. And like,
just being a person
Yeah.
and having a house.
right.
having free time.
Right.
Yeah,
We-
a social
yeah,
life.
we
and-
definitely don't. Like all of our time. We sat one day and we were like, what would we do if we weren't here? Like, what would we be doing with our lives? If we never got the farm, what would we be doing? And we're like, probably just watching TV. I don't know.
I know. What do people
'Cause-
do without farms?
Yes,
I have
it is
wondered
just
that too.
constant work. Like you could come here and you think everything's done, and there's always a project. I mean, literally always a project. Which thankfully the 2 of us love that kind of work, and like honestly, it might have been good for our relationship because we work really well together. I know there are couples that don't, and thankfully, like the harder we work, the more we like each other.
Yep.
So if we have time to just sit around and be boring, we tend to find things to pick at each other about. But when we're working really hard, we're like, all right, good job. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
So you started the cuddle sessions.
Oh yeah,
to
sorry.
add to that.
Back
So
to the
we've
cuddle
got-
sessions.
We've
Yep.
got these here, right?
Yep. These are the mama is a registered Hamp,
Okay.
and then dad is a registered Southdown. So we have kind of like, what do you think, a dozen registered Hamps?
Hampshires.
Hampshires.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Just
you're
say
fine.
that.
If anybody watching doesn't know some
Yes.
of the language,
Thank you.
Hampshire breed.
Yes. And so as we got to know the Hampshires, they seemed just a little big for our kids because eventually we knew we wanted to have our kids show.
Okay.
And we were like, whew, that's a big animal for our kids
You just have one.
to manage.
That's easier than getting 2.
Sorry, Mama.
Thank you.
They're so soft. They're a little bit more upset because this mama has like one half of her udder doesn't produce very.
Okay.
So we've been taking home the little one, and at nighttime we take him home, feed him in the middle of the night, feed him in the morning, and bring him back. And same with this little girl here. Mama's milk wasn't coming in. She's only like 3 days old, I think.
She was born on Tuesday.
Fridays.
Yeah, 3-4 days.
So she wasn't getting her milk in, and so we were trying to treat her to help her increase her milk, and we took the baby home at the same time. So they both think we're just going to steal their babies.
They've been really good moms.
They
It's
have,
just,
yeah.
Are they first time moms?
No,
No, actually,
Really?
neither one.
Have they
So-
always had issues?
we just bought this one out
we bought
in
her
Louisville like in November, and we talked to him. He said she's never had any issues, so I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. You just want to be on the internet, don't you?
It's all about me.
You are pretty sweet. She is one of my favorite ones.
Well, she's here. It's okay. So, just the small size of them, and they're sweet and they're cute and they're soft, is an easy entry point for people. And so for me, it's just something fun for families to do. But also, I feel like there's like, sorry, buddy, there's like this gap between the general public and agriculture, and so there are many levels of that. But and reasons for that. But I feel like if we could all come together a little bit, it would be better. So if we communicated, it would be better. And if I don't know something about something I'd like to learn about, I go and I learn about it. And this just gives people a chance to learn about animals and farm and how it works and where their food comes from. And I will answer anything. Like, I think there are a lot of farms and farmers, and just growing up with a lot of relatives, there are a lot of secrets, I guess, or things you don't want to share. And I never understood that. Or like you'll never ask a farmer how many acres they have.
Oh my God.
Like it is
so bad. Yeah.
right. And I'm like, I don't understand that, but I kind of get it. But also, like, I would rather people understand how it works and see that there's nothing wrong with it, that we're all in this to actually care for animals. Because really, the profit depends on their livelihood. Them being healthy is like the most important thing, because otherwise you don't make a profit. So I think people think that they have this perception that farmers are mean to their animals, or like we're abusing them. And there are some people that do that, right? But as a whole, as an industry, I really don't think that's and there's work to be done, but I just wish people could like communicate more and see that most farmers really do have a good heart and are, have a heart for their animals. But the other thing that I noticed too, we started a TikTok. And so I did it just to be silly, and it's fun, and I do lives and people can ask questions, and oftentimes people come with like agendas. So they come and they know that they're going to ask really maybe mean or hurtful questions or just statements or whatever. And so I think watching other TikTok people, it's easy to jump to be defensive, right? And so you just like fire back a mean statement, or like, you don't understand, you don't know anything, and that doesn't help anybody, right? So I try really, really, really hard, which is hard sometimes, to just like take a deep breath and think like, how could I explain this in a way that's like not offensive either way, but this is just the way it is, and like this is why I do it, and this is why people do it. And I just feel like that would help if everyone could do that. And it's really hard when someone's coming and calling you a bad person or just saying mean things. It's really hard to stay calm and explain it, but it would help. So I don't know.
So it's like you are taking the forefront of questions that are out on the internet and giving real life, reliable, research-backed, real world applicable information.
Yes.
To just share information.
Yeah.
That's really honorable for you.
And I'm by no means an expert, right?
Right.
I did not go to school in agriculture. I just grew up in it and around it, and a lot of friends that went to college for agriculture. And I feel like if I don't know it, which I might not know many things, I have plenty of people to ask. And so one of my videos on TikTok, I said, maybe I could be like the mom of farming. And so
there you go.
So like you would ask your mom anything, right? Like she's going to be honest with you. It's a safe spot. Right. And so I was like, just ask. And people ask the craziest things. Like someone asked where processed cheese was from. But
that's a legitimate question.
Right? Is it cheese?
Especially because at the grocery store, a lot of the cheese anymore isn't cheese. And I just saw a cute little article that Kraft is making plant-based mac and cheese.
Oh.
So I feel like that's a legitimate question. Where does cheese come from? Because it's not just milk and culture anymore. It's dye and extra things, you know, that I can't pronounce anyway.
Right. But, well, and we get a lot of questions, and I don't know anything because I didn't come from agriculture at all. I had a dog and a cat growing up. So some people start to quiz you on vaccines and antibiotics and medicines in general, and it's like, I don't know, let me go look. Right. So I research it, find credible resources, you know, universities or journals or whatever, and not just somebody with an agenda. Yeah. And so in a way, we get educated as well by the tough questions. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to lie to them about what I think it is. I'm going to go figure it out.
You went through some health issues. Yeah. And you tore your elbow. Yeah. You had another surgery. And so you've been out for a year and a half.
Basically, like off and on, you know. Yeah. And so just doing those hard physical things have been a little bit harder for me. And even like we've been showing with the kids, they've been showing sheep. And one of the things that I've done as our family, like David's really good at doing the research and some other things with I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, one of the things I do with the show animals is I've been generally breaking them. So like I'm walking and training the sheep. And this year the doctor was like, that's not a good idea. Like that's too much for your body while you're recovering and whatever. So I felt really bad. I had to put a lot on David that otherwise I wouldn't ever do and I wouldn't want to do. But as a family, I think we came together and just so many of those experiences, like losing my mom and going through health things, it can either break you or bond you. And I think thankfully, you know, through hard work, it just doesn't happen, but through hard work we've come closer. And I think the farm too, just like this lifestyle, is a lot harder than other people's. And I think sometimes people don't understand how much work is involved. Right. And so people will look at you and be like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you help? Why don't you come hang out? You know? And if I have free time that isn't involved with the farm, I just want to sleep or sit or just relax, you know, because it is awful sometimes. I love it, but it is awful sometimes. And like, even during birthing season, this is my favorite time of the year because the babies, they're so adorable, they're so fun, but so much can go wrong that it just like between us, we don't even say the words that we're stressed about it, but our bodies are reacting to each other. We're stressed, we're angry, and we don't know why. And it's because we're nervous, like what could go wrong, you know, when's the hammer gonna drop, right? Yeah. And so I think people don't see that full picture. So he's working full time to support our family and really to support the farm financially. And I work part-time, and then we have our kids involved in all different things. And then this farm is just like everything else. Yeah. It is not a job. It is like part of our heart and soul. And so...
but the girls love it too.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, was it yesterday or Wednesday when they came home and we had those two babies in the garage. And I think when they went to school, we had one. We came out in the morning to check and the other one wasn't doing very well. So we brought it home and we're bottle feeding it and, you know, keeping it warm and stuff. And I'm downstairs on a phone call for work and I hear our youngest, Amelia, comes in and she goes out to check. She's like, Quincy, there's a black one and a white one now. And she's like, get your shoes on. We got to go hang out with them. So it was just like heartwarming to hear that. And it's impacting them, I guess, right? So it was neat to hear while I was on my phone call for work. So
So even through the hardships, you guys have found a routine, a bond. Yep. And you're better for it.
Absolutely.
You feel like you're better for it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In addition to us just finding a bond, there's like this farming community that I know that you know about that would do anything for anybody, right? So as I was down, it was like, I need someone to help him. He can't do everything. So it's like, I'll ask. There's so many people I can ask. So I ask, and everybody, if they have any time, they're coming to help. Where I don't know if in any other community it's quite that way.
Yeah. Or industry.
Right, especially industry. Yeah, when you're competing. I mean, really.
Right.
So that's just a nice thing, and like another thing that I want to be as a I don't know what you want to call it, like a mentor or an advisor or whatever to new people. I've had so many people help us. Like our first birthing season, we had a really hard baby. We couldn't get it out. Like we both tried, you know, we took it to a vet and nobody could get it out. So we had a friend come and it didn't turn out how you would want it, but he was able to at least like try and tell us some things that he's done that made it easier. And, you know, it's just like he dropped everything. I'm sure he was busy, but he dropped everything.
He's a firefighter, right?
Yeah, he's a firefighter, yeah.
Wow.
And so now I would love to be that person. Like if someone is new and learning, you know.
That's why we're doing the workshops.
So you're doing workshops?
Well, so in a way it's teaching, but, you know, we started doing the show animals.
Right.
And it's completely different than the commercial side, completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I've really gotten into the feed, trying to figure out feed stuff, and that's my new research.
Okay.
So
you could make your brain explode by all the feed that's out there.
It's crazy.
yeah, and trying to do it at an economical, because we feed 4 times as much, and it's 2 or 3 times as much for the show feed, right? So I'm trying to figure out how can I mix this and that together and get close, and they'll perform about as well, but.
Right.
But what we found is some people will share show animal type things with you, and a lot of people don't, right? Because they want to win. They don't want to teach you anything.
Right.
So we sold a few animals to 4-H kids last year, and they didn't know what to do, how to shear a sheep, how to raise a sheep. So this year we worked with the local 4-H extension and said, hey, we'd like to offer workshops. So we're going to offer one workshop a month talking about how do you select a sheep? How do you feed a sheep? How do you care for a sheep? How do you manage sheep? Fitting a sheep, showing a sheep.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's what we've learned, and we're hoping that others will. I think somebody just needs it to organize it.
Yeah.
And we're offering up to organize it.
Very
So
cool.
we've got we've had one like kickoff workshop where we did like ice cream floats. And then this next week we'll be doing selection of, you know, what to look for when you're selecting a lamb for 4-H. So just trying to get out there to help develop the sheep industry, because I don't know, we enjoy it, so why not teach others?
I would love, so I come from the show cattle world, right?
Yes.
So I would love to get back to the good old days,
Yes.
where you win because the animal is good,
Right?
Yep.
and you win because you worked with that animal, and you can get that animal to set up just the way you want.
Yep.
And it's not who knows who.
Right. Who
and
spent the most money?
Who spent the most money with the
That's
judge.
that's exactly where we're at, and we're actually gonna.
And this might not be on camera.
Right.
No,
right.
that's-
But maybe
that's fine.
it's okay.
We're trying to get to where. So we've got all mostly registered South towns now.
Okay.
Some are expensive, some are not expensive. Most of them aren't that expensive. If you looked at the range, we're on the bottom end.
Yeah, we're
Right.
on the bottom.
Right.
And we do some of the artificial insemination, and you know, we're trying to improve our herd, but we're also planning to offer those up for a reasonable price, a little bit more than we'd probably make at market, but not extremely more expensive.
Right.
So make it affordable for families, because I mean the lowest entry level I think is like $500 for a show you.
Yeah.
We're going to be quite a bit lower than that, and it's like as long as it pays to feed the mom for the year, I don't really care.
Right.
So, you know, we'll see where that goes, and it seems like some people are interested. So
I love that.
And I'm sure with you, 4-H was like the most important thing in my childhood that I could, if someone asked me like what impacted you the most in your childhood and made you who you are today, 4-H, without a doubt, it would
Absolutely.
just pop right out of my mouth.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many things. You have to work hard. You don't just get something handed to you. You don't show up to practice and like get a trophy, right? Like you're a whole year of taking care of
early,
up
down
early.
late.
Yeah. And what if something goes wrong? Like, you know, it's a lot of disappointment, but you learn how to accept disappointment, right? You learn how to win. You learn how to save money. You learn how to spend money. There's just so many things. And my best friends still now are my 4-H friends, and I even call them my 4-H girls. And so, you know, we try to get together there as often as we can, but you know, you have those same values and you have that same experience. And so you know that they're your friends, whether you see them or not.
Yeah.
They're still going to be your friends forever, and they would do anything for you. So 4-H for me was just so formative that I wish I could get every kid involved in it, right?
Absolutely.
Just because you have an identity. You don't have to be like talented at anything. Like you can learn and you can become responsible, and people can respect you. It's just so important, I think. And so that's why we want to offer like lower cost animals, just so kids can get in it and experience what that's like. And like you could be a kid that just like doesn't have any friends or like doesn't have any confidence, and I feel like this is a place where you can meet friends and you can build that confidence, and you know, you don't have to have money.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about that, and to win like at a jackpot or like the state fair or whatever, you really have to spend money, and that'll never change. But at the county fair, you could just get one of these cheaper animals, and you may not win grand champion, but you may get like third in your class. That's still exciting.
Right.
Like that still is a win, and then you get to sell that animal, make money, and learn from that experience. So I think it is a confidence builder regardless of, you know, how you do. But back to the good old days, when we were in 4-H, we would just go to the feed lot.
Yeah.
And my dad would be like, just pick whichever one you like. And they would just be covered in poop. And we would come home and get dragged around for a few months and then go to the fair, and we would get last place. But it was still fun, and I still felt proud. I feel like that has gone away.
Well, and I think when we first showed, I wasn't embarrassed because I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know what's good, what's bad. I thought we did a good job, and Paige is like, I'm embarrassed how small these are, and it's like, well, I didn't know that, right? And so we've been trying to work on learning another side, right?
Yeah.
And we want to teach those kids in 4-H where to start versus having them have to go figure it out themselves, right?
Yeah.
They need a teacher, so that's kind of what we're trying to offer. We're probably not 100% right or doing everything the right way, but you know, we've built this treadmill out of an old treadmill that we got. It's covered up since it's.
To make the animals walk.
Do you want to watch? We can put one on it if you want. But yeah, that's what we put our sheep on to build muscle. No, to build muscle.
To build
actually.
muscle.
So someone explained to us, we've learned so much. So there, like he said, there are some people that don't share anything, which is frustrating because I'm like, we're all grown-up people. Like, let's all just
communicate.
We're not going to win.
We're not trying to
as long as
anybody.
we don't get dead last, we're happy.
Right.
And even if we do get dead last, as long as the kids had fun, I don't care.
It's awesome.
But if you could just like mentor us a little bit, that'd be awesome. So there are some families that have been amazing mentors, and that's how we would like to be in the future. But we had a guy tell us, he's like, so look at runners, right? Cross-country runners are super skinny and lean and fit.
And no muscle.
And no muscle.
Right.
But like sprinters have huge muscles. And so I was like, okay, that's what you want. You want the big muscles. And I didn't realize that. And I was like, how do you do that though in an animal? So a lot of times people are like, let's walk that sheep for miles and miles and miles because you're getting it broke, right? And you are adding some muscle maybe, but he was like, you're really working it off too. So if you can do short bursts of difficult exercises, that's how you build the muscle for real. You know, you can still do that walking to break them, but this is where you're going to build the muscle.
That's so
So
cool.
they run like, what, 3 minutes?
5 minutes on there, yeah.
It's pretty quick, pretty short.
But nothing special, as you can see. It's just that's all. We got the treadmill for free from somebody locally, and I think all the wood we just had laying around. So, and then I just put some screws together and bolted it together with what we got.
Fall off, really.
Yeah. And then I know that's chairs here, but
Yeah, that's just the regular.
Yeah.
Do you want to just pick it off? Or we could even put a sheep on it because
You
we've
don't-
just finished. So while he's doing that, that's just been one of the things that has amazed me about him, and I value it. I probably don't tell him enough, but he's a guy that, like, you tell him you want to do something or you want to learn something or improve something, and he just, like, gets inside his brain and does it. He's like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to spend money on it, but I will figure out how to do it. And so that has saved us an enormous amount of money and frustration. Just having him have the ability to build things. Oh, yeah, okay. But yeah, having, you know, he has an interest in how things work. And so if he needs to know something, he's going to figure it out. So he built this. And he also built, I don't know if you've seen like the walkers. Oftentimes they'll have horses on walkers just to like warm them up or cool them down. So people use those for sheep and goats as well. So they're like thousands of dollars. And
that's a good looking sheep, guys.
oh, thanks. She did probably the best at the shows, but see, she just walks right on because she's like, this is what we're going to do.
And we've gotten people saying, Paige did some live videos on this, and they were saying, oh, it's so inhumane, and it's like, she walked right up. I don't think she cares.
No, she's excited to be on here.
And it's like 3 minutes maximum. Like
There you go.
oh, so we put most of the work is on their back legs.
So it's just her
So
back legs.
yes, so we put her front legs up on that board, and then she walks her back legs either frontwards or backwards. Both ways are important.
Just like lay it up in there.
Oh, there you go.
Just so she won't fall off the back.
Yeah, that helps her not fall off the back. But like I was saying, he will just build it. So he built a walker from scratch. So maybe you're gonna have to probably explain the walker, and maybe we'll walk out and show you. but it's all like scrap parts that he found around the farm, and my dad helped like look for these scrap parts. And what is the motor?
Well, your aunt gave us the tractor.
Yes, it was a John Deere lawnmower from like the 70s. My aunt wasn't using it, obviously, and so she. Oh, did you turn it off?
That's fine.
Oh, you got enough?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
That's good.
Okay.
Good enough.
So we got this. We started with this John Deere lawnmower because a walker's like $3,000, and he's like, "We're obviously not going to buy that ever, but I will build it."
Yeah.
So then.
So we got the lawnmower for free because it was sitting in her garage from
the 70s.
I don't know 20 years
yeah.
ago, and she was happy to get rid of it. So we tore that apart, kept the axle out of it. We bought it. We had to buy an electric motor. We did. I thought we had one laying around, but we couldn't find one. And then some gears and some metal that her dad had laying around the farm, and we built it, and I think we've got like $500 in it, and most of that's the gears and the electric machine.
Well, the like arms, or what do you want to call those?
And the metal.
Let's go see.
But anyway, it's lifted so that their heads are high enough. Because we originally had it not up on the wood, and they were just like walking like no big deal. But the newspaper came and did a story about us, and so I loved it. I actually took pride in it. Some people might be offended. The photographer was like, "I love that this is a working farm and not like a hobby farm," and I was like, "Yes, thank you." And some people could say like, that's because it looks a mess and it's gross and whatever, and it's like random pieces. Building this fence is not like a real fence. Like we've just
we got that from your brother, I think, didn't we?
We put pieces together of what works, you know, and it's just what we're able to do with our money without taking a loan.
Exactly.
And so I liked that though, because there are, what do you want to call them, TikTok farms or social media farms. That's the word. Instagram farms, where they're just like beautiful and they're in these perfectly clean stalls and barns, and that is not us. But this is reality.
We clean up. We clean up
Your
probably.
animals are and they're taken care of.
Right.
You can look under there. I don't know if your camera will get it, but we
So this is the frame of the
frame of the tractor, the axle, the motor, a couple gearboxes, and then the top of it is actually a disc off of her dad and brothers. They replaced some discs and they had that laying around, so we use that as the centerpiece.
So did you weld that?
Yeah,
no,
my dad.
her dad did.
Your dad did? That's awesome.
So we welded it all up together, and you know it's.
You want to plug it in?
Oh no, the cord's not out here.
So then you tie them up.
Then we
to
tie
Yep.
them on here
And then-
with their halters.
and then they just walk. Now you have TikTok videos of this.
Yes.
That's really cool. So you have 16 acres
Yes.
that you rotationally graze
Yes,
on
yes.
throughout the summer.
It's so much work.
Yeah. So do you move every day then?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And before, so when we very first started, it's okay, buddy. They are way up high, aren't they? When we very first started, we just didn't think that the sheep would respect electric fence. So we built and moved panels, 60-foot panels, every single week. And we almost died, like literally almost died, because it was so hot and so heavy. And but then and then also we didn't want to invest very much in fencing because it's not our property. So like we kind of had a fence guy quote it, and it was like 10 grand. And we're like, 10 grand on not our property, like no. So now we have a perimeter with the paneling, the cattle paneling, and then in the interior we move electric fence, which so much better. No,
we've got twine and then some of the ribbon.
So we've seen too many bad videos of the netting of them getting stuck or like
and we're not there to see it. So
it's not on.
We check once a day, but.
So luckily, knock on wood, they have respected it. Now last year we bought some what breed are they? Leicester. Border Leicesters, just as some market sheep we could sell, and they could have cared less. Like they would just go right through it the entire summer.
In the same spot we saw it because you could just see wool, and it's like, well, that's where they're going through.
They could care less. So that was kind of bad. But the reason we do the rotational grazing is we have learned the very hard way about parasites. So one year we had barber pole worms. And oh my gosh, it killed like 10 babies, and I don't know how many moms.
One mom.
It was terrible. And the ones that did live, we had to treat so much. We had to worm them and give them supplements. But wait, I think that is one of the best ways to learn, is to go through something terrible and you're like, I never want to do that again. So I'm going to do the right thing now. And so that has helped us tremendously in terms of not getting parasites again. Because I've seen so many things where goats are supposed to be a nomadic animal, so they're supposed to just go straight and never look back. So their poop is back here and they never look at it, and they would never eat it. That's why their bodies are not like equipped to deal with parasites that would come out in their poop.
That makes
sense. It does make sense.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
It really does. So unfortunately, we are asking them not to go forward.
Yeah.
We're asking them to look back constantly, and it has helped a lot. We have also read that, like, if you would combine cows, like if you had cows and sheep and goats in a pasture, they're like super good team.
Yeah.
So, and we've noticed even sheep and goats are a great team because they eat different things. So the sheep will like go to town on the grass, and the goats are like, nah. And they'll go straight for the poison ivy and the thorns and like thistle. It's crazy. You're like,
So
why would you eat that?
In the same pastures?
Absolutely, the whole time.
They're separate in the winter, and then they're the same in the summer.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But it is fascinating to see how they do. But the reason I said that was if you had a cow, they would eat the parasites. It doesn't bother them. I don't know why.
They're a dead-end host for parasites.
Dead-end host.
And it's the opposite. Like any worms that cows get, they don't impact sheep. It's like the last stop for them too. So,
So they kind
if
of
you mix them together, you'd not have any parasites.
Yeah. So someday, if we're brave enough to get cattle, that would be great to be able to have that. But it would change fencing too, though. But the guy we rent from, the landlord, has really appreciated what we've done, because it was like completely not usable land. Like we didn't buy a pasture, or we didn't rent a pasture. We rented land that hadn't been used in like decades, and so it was overgrown, and I can't even tell you what was growing in it. And they have cleared it, and he's like, oh well, you want to go a little further? So because he was so impressed by what they did. So it's been fun and nice to please him as well. But yeah, surprising too. So
I mean, the thistle just amazes me. It'll be like this tall, stalk that big,
and they're just
knocked down the next day and
chomping
gone.
on it like it's delicious candy.
And that's the best way to get rid of a thistle is to eat the flower.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
You can't
love
pull
it.
the root.
Right. And it doesn't come back the next year. It's been really cool.
Yeah, the poison ivy's all gone now. I don't get it as much now. So
yeah, he would
You
just
don't
be
get
covered.
it.
Oh, he would be covered even if he looked at it, and I don't thankfully get it.
I think some of the coolest parts that you talked about is the education part of it.
Yes.
And the fact that you are kind of making your own way through your side of agriculture. So just a question that I like to ask is like, if anybody out there is thinking about doing something similar or maybe struggling kind of the same way you guys are, what's your advice?
just ask. I think anybody would tell you advice or help, and there's plenty of stuff out there on the internet to find help with if you need help with agriculture. And
Right.
I think just go out and try.
Just do it.
Just do it, and if you fail, you fail.
What's it gonna hurt?
What's it gonna hurt, right? Yeah.
I love it.
And I would just say it's harder than you could ever imagine it will be, but also more rewarding than you could ever imagine it will be. So if you get in one of those low spots that it's like, we'll never make a profit, we'll never, like, we don't know what we're doing, we'll never be someone that knows what they're doing, just keep going. Just keep trying. Each day, just take each day new and just keep trying, because it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be super rewarding.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you both so much.
Thank
for
you.
letting me
I'm
and
excited.
my family come out and see.
Yeah.
And we'll put all the links in the description of anything you guys have. So,
cool.
Your TikTok,
Yes.
your website, cuddle session links,
Yeah.
anything like that. So that'll all be in the description.
And if anyone would like advice from us, not that we're experts, but I am more than welcome to answer any questions that I can and do research if I can help people, just because we had so much help. And so even if someone's watching and they're in like Utah or something crazy, I would love to help. So send us a message or however you want.
Okay, well, do that. And thank you guys again.